Google Earth is literally our planet that was digitally created with a whole bunch of random pictures from satellites in space, and then also cars driving on the ground with cameras on them. But because of this, there have been a lot of really weird pictures taken around the world. From really viral things like the donkey allegedly hit by the Google car, to the flying rabbit, or the creature on the balcony, to more obscure, unknown things like the nursery for Krakens, or the worst of all, the squiggle man that I put at the bottom of this iceberg. You guys aren't ready for that. So anyways, if you like iceberg charts or you just like Google Earth in general, then sit back, relax, and we will go ahead and get into the video. But real quick before I get into the video, I just want to say thank you guys so much for your support, for subscribing, buying my merch, being deranged viewers, because that's who you are, because you're watching my video. And it means so much to me because you guys have literally made me a career where I can just research weird things and then talk about them on camera. So thank you. Starting off at the top of this iceberg, we have donkey hit by Google car. So if you go to this area in Botswana, to this really rural road, you can see driving down this road that there is a donkey standing on the side of the road. But then whenever the Google car gets close, it seems that it is laying down on its side. And then as it continues, you can look back and see that it is laying there sideways as if it was maybe hit by the car. Further on, you can see it like kicking its legs up in the air and kicking dust. And so because of this, it went really viral online. A lot of people were like, you guys killed the donkey with your mapping car. And it was so bad that actually in 2013, Google had to do an official statement where they showed extra pictures to prove that they didn't hit this donkey. What actually happened was the car was going the opposite direction and the donkey was already taking a dust bath. And so whenever the Google car got close, they scared it and made it stand up and walk away. So, you know, donkeys, they're always, you know, doing their own thing. I'm sure you guys have seen Shrek. Moving on to Ice Ship. So Ice Ship is an interesting one. If you go just off the coast of Antarctica, you can see this group of ice, and within this ice, you can see this strange object that kind of looks like a yacht-shaped ship. This is a pretty large ship. It's about the size of what I would imagine like a decent-sized yacht would be. But as you can see, it kind of looks like there's little windows on it and like I can't remember all the names for like the parts of the ship, but like the top part and the bottom part. But you get the idea. It's really ship-shaped, and you know, a lot of people were saying this is a real ship that was lost and floated over here in Antarctica, but there's really no evidence that it was, and it probably was just a piece of ice. Next is Sir, You Can't Park There. So this is an area in Wisconsin where you see this kind of nice-looking old square body Chevy truck that looks like it was crashed up in a tree somehow, kind of like that car in Harry Potter. There's really not a whole lot about it. It just seems like it is kind of a tourist attraction, but it's really weird because you could be driving along the interstate and just look over and see this truck stuck up in a tree. Creature on the balcony. So this was a very viral thing. There's this area in this town in France where Google now has blocked off like the entire area where this apartment building was. But there was this just viral thing that happened where this weird creepy creature was on this balcony standing next to a bicycle that looks like a strange evil alien looking humanoid thing. What's funny is it got really popular online, but then Google tried to blur it out, which only made this creature way more popular, which they really did it to themselves on this one. Turns out what I think this thing is a statue of a Jamaican man, but it's really creepy. Like, here's a picture of what I kind of think it is. Like, I could not imagine like walking in the room at 3 a.m. and seeing this thing. Oh my gosh, that is terrifying. But yeah, probably just a statue, but you know, maybe it was alien. Flying rabbit. So on this road in Poland, you can see this little rabbit that is standing there, you know, having a normal day, actually walking towards the road where the Google car is driving. And then whenever you look back, you see the rabbit is gone and he is flying in the air. People online suggested that this was Volpertinger, the magic rabbit. But after doing more investigation, it seems like this car just hit this rabbit and flung it up into the air. And you can see it kind of like absolutely ragdolling through the air as it goes. But honestly, it's probably okay. Rabbits are pretty resilient, so. It would be cool if it was flying though, but Moving on to tier 2 with help. So this kind of sparked a lot of debate online if whether there was actually someone who needed help or if it was something else. But there is this area in Los Angeles where there's a whole bunch of different signs and like wording made out of different objects that say help really large. As you can see, it's a lot of different help words. You would think if someone needed help, they'd probably just, make one and then hope someone came and helped. But this is Los Angeles. So if we go here into Street View and drop into this one area, we can see over this barrier. If we go back to the right date there, we can see that it looks like there's a bunch of piping that made this big help word. And you can see a lot of other help signs from the ground. I kind of assumed that someone just made it say help because they were asking for help for getting out of like Los Angeles or something. But local police have investigated this and have figured out that it is a homeless person who was in this construction site tampering with all this stuff and making it say help. And anyways, they treated the person. I guess he's been helped now. Boysen State Park incident. Oh, this one's really terrifying. This is a scary one. So Boysen State Park is a park in Wyoming where you can go to this area into a photosphere and see this really funny thing. There is a park ranger on a horse chasing a T-Rex, an inflatable T-Rex guy, who is also chasing a whole bunch of children. It's awesome that this park ranger participated in this. He's, he looks pretty serious. Very scary. Glad that he's helping out, wrangling that T-Rex. This is what Google Earth was made for right here. Next we have Ghost Girl. So Ghost Girl is kind of a more spooky one. There's this cemetery in Texas that you used to be able to go into Street View. You can't really do it anymore, but you used to be able to see this photosphere of the cemetery. It looks like a normal cemetery at first, but then you can see peeking out from behind the tree is this little pale girl. Honestly, it is pretty eerie looking and unsettling, but the more you look at it, you can see different kind of weird things. Like in the background, you can see some sort of black shadowy creature, or it might just be like a leaf or something on the fence. But a lot of people say that this picture's scary not because of that ghost girl thing, but rather that thing in the background that people say is like the Grim Reaper or something. But either way, they have removed it now, which has kind of fueled the urban legend and made it more spooky. Giant crab. So if you go to this town in the UK, you can allegedly see this giant crab that is the size of 2 school buses just below a dock. Obviously, if you look into this at all, you can tell that it's just a hoax. It's not real. I went back to about the exact same date as when this picture was supposed to have been taken, and it's not there. Lincoln Way. So Lincoln Way is this kind of strangely abandoned road near Clairton, just southeast of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This is a little dead-end road called Lincoln Way. This place has a lot of kind of like urban legends about it. As you can see, this looks like a pretty normal looking dead-end street. It is kind of spooky looking, like even before people started to leave it. What we know is a few people lived here in 2007. Seems like the most realistic thing that happened was people just left because it wasn't a nice area and they had some crime. But it's just kind of weird because like people had been abandoning houses there since like 1970, so it seemed like something was going on. A lot of urban explorers have gone here and seen kind of weird things, like they've seen these abandoned buildings where people have just got up and left their belongings as if it's like Chernobyl or something. But it seems like people left this area really quick whenever they abandoned their houses. There's different theories for why it was abandoned. Some people think that the nearby steel mill was like putting off some bad, toxic gas or something. But there is this urban legend that I think is really cool about the beast of Lincoln Way. And people like to talk about how there's this monstrous creature that lived just off this road in the nearby woods that was like this hairy dog beast thing that just tormented the residents until they finally would just get up and leave. But very likely this urban legend was just kind of like a creepypasta thing. But it's still kind of crazy. This road is completely abandoned. It was pretty thriving. The houses were fine, and now they are all gone. All the houses are gone now. Loch Eel Monster. So this is in Australia. You can go to this lake called Lake Bumbunga, where you will see this statue of this thing called Lockie, which is like the big Loch Eel Monster thing that someone's created in this lake, which is kind of a play on the town that's nearby called Loch Eel, which is where where the lake is located. Anyways, I just thought it was cool. It was a cool looking statue, and like this lake dries up so people can walk up and take pictures of it and stuff. Tier 3, Google streetcar falls apart. This is something that I feel like would happen to me. There's this area in Newberry Spring, California, where the Google car is driving down this road, and then you can see it approaching this speed bump, and apparently this bump was so bad that it just absolutely blew its hubcaps off, and you can see the hubcaps following after the car after it hits this bump, and it's just so crazy. Yeah, you can see these wheels just flying after this car. Yeah, I mean, that is a bad bump if it's going to do that to your hubcaps. You can even see them roll to the other side of the road. They had so much momentum when they hit the bump. Phantom Island. So this is one of the few islands that has been undiscovered. So this island was first mentioned by Captain Cook back in 1774, and then was included on maps of Australia after he discovered it. A few explorers throughout the years have kind of mentioned seeing this island, but it wasn't until 1974 when a French mapmaker flew a plane over and discovered there was no island there. But for some reason, we didn't realize this for a really long time, and Google Maps thought it was there, so they just kind of blacked out an area and just labeled it Sandy Island, but it never even existed. Eiffel Tower in Texas. Paris, Texas is a real place, and in Paris, Texas, of course, they have the Eiffel Tower of Texas. That's really all I have to say about it. It's an Eiffel Tower looking structure with a cowboy hat on it. So there's just one street view picture where you can see a bunch of guys that biked there and they looked really excited. So nice that, you know, people are excited to go to the Eiffel Tower in Texas. I would totally go there. Scarecrow Village, Japan. Also known as the Nagoro Scarecrow Village in Japan. This is the village of Nagoro where you can see these scattered scarecrow-looking human people that are placed in lifelike positions. It's kind of a mountainous region. It is so strange because, I mean, they have eyes and ears and noses, and it's like they spent a lot of time making these scarecrow people. But you'll see them at different places, like sitting at a bus stop. Here they're sitting by a road. They'll be gardening. It's like they've created an entire community of just scarecrow people. It's very strange. Apparently there is an artist that's doing this named Tsukimi Ayano, who constructed hundreds of these life-size scarecrows since 2003 because she's doing this to repopulate her once thriving hometown village, which currently has a population of less than 30 people or so. So that's kind of sad. Her hometown got abandoned, and now she's trying to repopulate it with scarecrows. But apparently each one has a name, personality, and life story. That kind of makes it more creepy, honestly. Scientology cult symbol. So this is in Mesa Hufanita, New Mexico. You can see this weird symbol etched in the mountains, located next to the Trementina base built by the Church of Spiritual Technology. This symbol is actually trademarked by the church. Supposedly, this base has a vault that has a bunch of archived material from the group's founder, L. Ron Hubbard. In one article I read, there's an ex-Scientology member who told people that these symbols were to guide leaders to the work in the vaults after a nuclear Armageddon wipes out humanity. So they're trying to rebuild the world with Scientology by using these symbols to guide people to the vault that has the information. But there's also other people that say these symbols are to point like alien aircraft or like people in space in the future to where to go. I don't know how true any of it is, but it's kind of interesting. Tier 4. Google camera being buried. So if you go to this area on the Galapagos Islands, on this one street, you can see people burying the Google camera. I guess, you know, the cameraman never dies thing actually isn't true because he's being buried in this picture. Stealth bomber. So in this field in Missouri, just east of Kansas City, between Kansas City and Columbia, you can find this B-2 bomber that looks like it's moving like crazy fast. Apparently this is pretty normal. These cameras will like kind of separate different colors because of how fast these aircraft are moving. But it's just really crazy to think that, you know, cameras could just randomly pick up a bomber. Not so stealthy now, huh? An island in a lake on an island in a lake on an island. So this place is called Vulcan Point. It is literally an island in a lake on an island in a lake on an island. So this is the island of Luzon in the Philippines. On this island, you can see Taal Lake. And then in Taal Lake, you can see the volcano Taal Volcano. And then inside the volcano, you can see Taal Volcano main crater lake. And inside that crater lake, you can see Vulcan Point. So it is literally an island in a lake on an island in a lake in a lake on an island. Is that right? Did I say that right? Demon Under Bridge. So going to the state of New York, you can see the Cayuga Waterfront Trail in Ithaca, where whenever you go under this bridge, you can see this kind of creepy looking, demon looking face. It's actually not on Google Earth at all anymore, no matter where you look. And even before, Google had just like blurred out the face. But there are still pictures of what this thing was. From what I can tell, it looks like someone like put a creepy mask underneath this bridge. Some people were saying that the bridge just looked like a face, but it does seem like it's some sort of weird mask thing. Groot Turtle found IRL. So this one's really weird because if you come to this area in the flatlands of Colorado, it's only fields, it's completely flat, there's no mountains at all. But for some reason, just off the interstate, there is this little blip next to a little farm area. And whenever you click to see the street view next to this house, this little farm area, it will show you standing on the edge of a cliff next to an ocean. It kind of looks like Ireland or possibly Scotland, and it's a really beautiful place. But as you look further, you can zoom in and see what looks like Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy on the edge of the mountain, but he's also got the body of a sea turtle. I don't know what the point of this is, if this guy's like advertising like an NFT or if it's just a joke. I don't really know what the deal with this is, but it's really weird. I have no idea what the deal with this is at all. Tier 5, giant cube in the sky. So you can go to this area in Germany, and for some reason, I don't know what the deal is, but it's labeled right now. It says the giant cube, which is appropriate name, great naming. But it appears that there is a great big, like, grassy land cube floating above this town, which would be really terrifying if your house was actually underneath it. It does appear this is some sort of glitch, unless this actually happened, but you can go down on Street View and look up in the sky, and there's no giant Minecraft cube floating in the sky. Sadly, you can't place your person directly on top of it, but yeah, giant cube in Germany. The Tesseract? Is this a Transformers reference? Minecraft reference? Google car pulled over by police. So you can start off at this area next to a Shell gas station here in Toronto, and then go down this road. You can see this police car get right behind the Google car next to this Shell gas station. It looks like the Google car didn't run a red light or anything, but he's driving along, the police is following him, where suddenly the police gets behind them and turns on their lights and pulls them over, and looks like they get a ticket. Can't tell for sure, but I think since this was on here for a while, it has now been removed, because that's probably just like bad publicity, seeing people trying to film for Google getting pulled over and getting tickets. But some people think there was more footage to it, and you could see the Google car do an illegal U-turn, and that's why the cop went after him. Goatorcycle. So in the Tambacounda region in this area of Senegal, Africa, you can go on this road where you see a man driving a motorbike, and he has a goat riding with him. That's about it. It's just, it's a goat. It looks like the goat's in like a bag or a shirt, or it looks like he's in a bag. But this goat looks super happy. This guy looks super happy. I like it. I'm about it. Good for him, Get your goat, put him in a bag, put him on the motorcycle, and have a day. Why not? I don't see anything wrong with Goatorcycle, What's kind of funny is the Google, whatever does it, decided to blur out the face of the goat so that it wouldn't invade on their privacy. So that's really, really thoughtful of them. Osmar Kuna Street. So this is this street in Brazil where when you first enter this street, everything seems pretty normal. The sun is shining, people are walking around, and cars are driving. Where then suddenly it seems like everything turns black, and you're plunged into darkness with what looks like this terrible figure staring at you and kind of like reaching out. It kind of looks like there's fingers sticking out at you, but it's very weird. It seems like this is some sort of technical glitch. They have definitely patched it at this point. I wasn't even able to get footage of it, but it is really weird. What's kind of crazy about this area is this island here in Brazil has some lore about witches that were here. So some people like to say that, you know, maybe there is some sort of background of these witches influencing the cameras and trying to take your brain power, trying to, you know, whatever. You get what I'm saying. Witches, Japanese bird people. So you can't see them anymore. Their faces are blurred out, but you could go to this park area in Japan. And as you can see in the distance, there seems to be a group of people that are all blurred out. And as you get closer, they're still blurred out, but you can obviously tell they have something on their heads. It looks like, you know, they're pigeon people, just kind of ominously standing there staring at the cameraman. Zooming in from further away, you can see that they are the pigeon people, confirmed IRL. Finally, we found them. It's kind of funny. Before they blurred it out, you could see that all these people were staring at the Google camera. The guy walks by or drives by on the bike, whatever he's doing, and then the pigeons are still staring at him and turn around and look at him, and it's kind of funny. Some people think that the pigeon people were students from a nearby art university, and they just, you know, they're just booling that day, you know. But yeah, Japanese bird people. Tier 6, New Baltimore Portal to Hell. So apparently, at one point on Google Earth, the entire town of New Baltimore was inside of the backrooms. So for a while before they patched it, the entire internet was terrified and convinced that this town in New York was inside of hell and was like a portal to hell, because there was these terrifying melty images. You can see all these houses look kind of just like melty and dark, and it definitely looks like the back rooms. It does not look quite right. It looks like there's some sort of entity hiding here and it's gonna jump out at any second. And yeah, anyways, this is what I guess it was like back then. I think this is like 2008 or something. So they were inside the back rooms or the upside down. Anyways, they've now patched it, so I guess they made it out of there, hopefully. But it was really nightmarish looking. It was really creepy looking. Shark on roof. You can go to this town in Oxford, UK. It looks like, you know, a normal looking town area, but then you can zoom in and see something sticking out of the roof of this house. And, you know, you're probably wondering, what is that? Well, let's look. Normal looking town, right? Normal looking neighborhood. Boom, shark. Shark in the roof. Yeah, it looks like the Sharknado came through and spit out a shark and it lodged into the top of this house. That is really weird. I wonder how this affects people's resale value next door. It probably isn't the greatest. Anyways, the background of this is that this guy kind of just created this as like a rooftop sculpture pop-up protest art that he made without permission, which is hilarious. And I guess he's supposed to like be symbolizing the bombs that crashed onto buildings in a war with Libya with the United States, so, or something like that, something similar to that. So the shark was supposed to symbolize a bomb. Abandoned Prada store. So in the Chihuahua Desert in West Texas, you can go to this area that is a very rural area. It's next to just another pretty small town, Valentine. Red Dead Redemption 2 reference. Anyways, it seems like this is the middle of nowhere, right? But then you zoom in and you see a Prada store. It is crazy. I actually accidentally drove by this when I was in my RV. I didn't know it was going to be there, and I just drove right by and I was like, did that say Prada? I didn't even stop. But this is actually a fake Prada store that was built in 2005 as an art installation, and the artists that made this aren't even associated with Prada at all. But it does contain real Prada merchandise, like handbags that have the bottoms cut out and shoes that are only right-footed, and they did this to deter people for stealing. Originally, the plan was to just let this building kind of slowly degrade back into the natural landscape. However, in just 6 days after they completed it, it got immediately horribly graffitied, and then it got broken into and had everything stolen, and so they had to fix it. So they're just having to keep up with it. Actually, if you go around back of this, there's something I didn't know. They have a fence that has a whole bunch of locks on it. I guess people go there and lock locks on it, kind of like the lock bridge in France or whatever. Earth's serial number. So this is a very strange area in the middle of nowhere, Morocco, that is so strange. So this is like the middle of the desert. It doesn't seem like anything's going on here, but you can zoom into this crater looking area that has a whole bunch of numbers spiraling kind of into itself. At first I thought the numbers were just kind of a jumbled mess, like they didn't say anything, but it looks as if it says 11 10 9 8 7 6 5 4 3 2 1, and then 10 9 8 7 6 5 4 3 2 1 again, like into itself. And because of this, people have called it Earth's serial number. We have no idea what this is. If anybody can figure it out, let us know. I don't know if this is actually physical, if this is physically there, or if this is just kind of like a label that was placed on Google. It sure doesn't seem like a label, because it looks like it's just in the earth, like it was placed, stamped into there or something. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Google dog sled team. So usually, you know, the Google Street View camera stuff is taken with like a car or a guy on like a bike setup. But in some instances, Google has to get creative. Like there's like one time they used a camel, but for this one we're going to be talking about, they used a dog sled team. So this is up really far north in Canada, in the capital city of Nunavut, called Iqaluit. So you can see this dog sled team that's being used to film the surroundings. As you can see, this is like really far north. I mean, this is like, it's crazy to imagine being that far up there. But you can drop in here and see that the camera is being hauled by a sled and a whole bunch of dogs. And it's awesome. These dogs just look so happy. I bet they just absolutely love, you know, doing this. This would be the greatest life ever if you could just pull a sled with the boys, with the dogs. Kind of funny, whenever he is recording the Google Street View thing, this guy goes by in a snowmobile pulling a guy in the sled, and he waves and then he just keeps going. It's crazy. I could imagine what life is like up there. It's just so nuts, dude. It doesn't seem like they hardly have many vehicles. Well, they might have vehicles, but like not a whole lot that are very capable in the snow. So it's cool to see, you know, humans using animals to do cool things like that. Also, if you look inside the town, you can see that he had to hike on foot like a lot through this town to actually get the footage too, which is like, you know, hats off to this guy. He was just hiking the camera through this town. Tier 7, nursery for baby Krakens. So you can go into this area in Kazakhstan and you can see this kind of, it's like a pond looking thing that has a bunch of weird something in it. Some people were commenting on this and saying that this looks like a nursery for baby Krakens. I feel like that's totally appropriate name to call it, because what else is this? But then other people were saying that this is likely like a black plastic liner that was in there that's got holes in it, and it's just kind of slowly floating up because the rainwater is pushing it up. But I really like the Kraken thing, because we all know the Kraken is real, and obviously this is where the Kraken came from, Kazakhstan. The Kraken comes from Kazakhstan. Hill of Crosses. So the Hill of Crosses is this site in Lithuania where there's over 100,000 crosses that cover this small hill. It is so crazy to look at, because this is like, I mean, this is so many. You can actually walk through it. You can do Google walkthrough through this area. This is something where pilgrims began placing these things over centuries as symbols of faith and resistance. Even whenever Soviet authorities bulldozed the site at one point, locals risked their lives to return at night and replace the crosses. Today, it is now illegal to remove any of the crosses, but anyone can add their own cross. So that's why there are so many here. People just keep adding them and nobody can remove them, and it is very cool. Here is walking closer to it. Wow. There's so many crosses, and there's no telling how old some of these are. And yeah, anyways, Jesus is King, so moving on. Airport Mountain. So you can go to this airport in Thessalonica, Greece, and for some reason it just looks all kinds of messed up. I have no idea how a plane could take off on these runways. They would have a very rough time taking off and landing, but it appears that there's some sort of like 3D glitch going on. Here we have a farmer's field next to the airport that is in an absolute massive hole. I don't know how he's gonna combine those crops, harvest those crops, get them out of there. But you know, luckily most airports aren't like this, except for Denver International. Obviously, whenever you go into Street View and look at this airport, it doesn't have massive mountains sticking out. It's just a glitch. Next up, we have the Silent People. So the Silent People are in this area near Lapland, Finland, where there's over 1,000 figures that look kind of like humans that all stand in a field near the road wearing colorful clothing, and they have faceless heads, and they're all facing the same direction. The Silent People is this thing that was created by an artist for unknown reasons. Many people that see this find the Scarecrow sad or disturbing, kind of evoking a feeling of like forgotten people. And a popular theory is that they represent those who were lost during a brutal battle that took place between the Finns and the Soviet Russians. That battle actually took place near this art during the Winter War of 1939 to 1940. So it does kind of seem like maybe this is some sort of like kind of memorial or remembrance of those who were lost during that battle. But they are really creepy looking. I feel like as far as like the Scarecrow people things go, this is one of the most freaky. Like imagine your car broke down on this road right in front of that. Oh my gosh, in the middle of the night, and you didn't know it was there, and you looked over with the flashlight, and oh my gosh, those things got to be skinwalkers or something. Murder Doc. So this was a big viral thing, probably like the most viral Google Earth thing that there was. So there was these images that were taken on Google Earth back in 2012 that people thought was a murder in progress because it looked as if there had been a body drug across this dock, because it looked like there was like this red trail across the wood, and you could even see like maybe a person there. A lot of people were going on and on about this. I remember someone I knew telling me about this back like in high school and saying, dude, this is real, someone died here. No, that's not actually what happened. What actually happened was this guy just had his dog jump into the lake, and the dog got super wet and then, you know, ran along the dock and made a big trail of wetness on this wood that then turned red because it's like, you know, the boards are probably red, and that's probably what happened. As far as I know, nobody was killed here. This is in Beatrix Park in the Netherlands, and you know, it's weird that, you know, it was called Murder Dock and a lot of people thought someone was killed here, but nowadays for some reason there is this really weird red symbol in the middle of the dock. I have no idea what it is. I did a lot of research and tried to figure out what it is, and I have no idea. I can't quite make out the symbol, but it kind of looks a little bit ritualistic. I'm not saying it is, but it's really freaky. If you guys know what this is, just please comment and let me know what it is. It almost looks like an H and a K. Tier 8, the final tier, alien skyscraper. So this is super weird. You can go into the United Kingdom to Queen's Ferry and go to this place that's supposed to be Forth Bridge. Here you can find a photosphere that whenever you click on shows you a really weird looking structure coming out of the clouds that kind of looks like an alien skyscraper or spaceship that's gonna, you know, touch down or, you know, contact us and try to land. But it's so weird looking. I actually really like this. It looks really realistic. Another really weird thing is this bridge right here you can look at, and it goes in a nonsensical circle. Like, look, the bridge attaches to the same land and it just goes in like a big U back to the land. And then zooming in at the bottom, you can see there's like is it a hubcap? I don't even know, but it's like a big swirly thing below the camera. But this bridge is crazy. I guess this bridge is real, but it's been like tampered to make it look like it's like this infinity U bridge. But yeah, alien skyscraper. Wow, look at that thing. I wish I was on there. Someone probably just edited this and put it there, and that's all it really is. But man, they did a good job. I mean, I can't really tell where the seams are in the picture, so very strange. Child Skinwalker. This one is very scary. It's actually not. It's not scary at all. So you can go to this area in China in the mountains. This area is in a very mountainous region, and there's a pretty waterfall display. It looks like a real nice area. But then whenever you turn around, you see a horrifying child skinwalker thing. What's really funny about this is like this guy, it looks like his grandpa is taking a picture of him, kind of egging it on. And then you can look over and see his grandma And she looks like she's reprimanding him for goofing around, and I like that. That's hilarious. I wonder if they knew the Google guy was coming by. Like, he took his picture, but man, they got their picture taken by Google, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen this. And awesome. Skinwalker child. Watch out for those skinwalkers in China. Abandoned island of dolls. So this is in Mexico. There is this tiny island that is covered in hundreds of dolls. So whenever you click into this canal area, you can see a place where you can go with boats, and you can pull up on this island and see all these freaky dolls hanging from trees and from posts and from buildings, and all the dolls look like they're rotting or decaying and just look really freaky. I guess this thing's pretty famous. It is really eerie looking. Here there's a mannequin. That's freaky. But if you look over at the Google guy, it looks like he is taking a video with his phone because he's found it so weird too. You can drop into some different areas on this doll island and see different freaky dolls. It almost looks like this thing is like a tourist attraction now, but I think there was a legend here that says that this island had a caretaker that started like placing all these dolls here after a terrible accident where he failed to save this girl from drowning, and then apparently because of this he had this mental breakdown where he thinks to appease the spirit of the girl that drowned he needs to hang up all these dolls, and so his collection grew over time into this terrifying shrine, and now all the dolls just rot in silence and they watch every visitor who, you know, dares to come close to the island. Boat full of pandas. So this one's kind of weird too. You can go to this place in Hong Kong on this dock and go into street view, and you can street view onto this boat where you see this boat filled with little panda bear statues, and they're all kind of sitting there like they're, you know, ready for school, or they're in a classroom and they're about to get learned, they're about to get educated. It's very, very weird. If you look back, you can see that it kind of seems like, wow, look, that's a lot of pandas. Wow, that's so many. Where'd they even get all these statues? But all these pandas are either going somewhere or at school. But it looks like this is some sort of like video production. There's guys there with video cameras, and anyways, you can kind of go outside and see the progression of all the pandas walking onto the boat. But here's more video equipment. There's the light, but I don't know what the deal with this is. It was just a bunch of pandas going onto a boat. They're on a dock, and yeah, pandas on the boat. Pandas going to school of pandas. All right, at the very bottom of the iceberg, this one's scary. The Squiggle Man. So on this road in Bluff, Utah, this is like a beautiful scenic area. There's, you know, pretty rocks. It's very deserty looking. But as you go through this town, you can look to the right and see on this property some sort of strange looking, like, cryptid human skinwalker squiggle man. This thing, it looks like a human, but it's got like wiggly arms, and it looks very realistic. In some of the pictures they blurred it out for some reason. I don't really know why. This thing is honestly one of the freakiest looking things I've ever seen on Google Earth. It's squiggly. It looks like just a skin, like bunch of skin, a man covered in skin, and it has a squiggle arm. I've looked at it from a lot of different angles, but I kind of think this thing is a statue. Otherwise, you know, what is this thing? Is it a skinwalker? But in this picture, you can see it really looks like a statue. Really realistic one at that. It is very freaky looking. But yeah, it's nice that, you know, Google Earth, you can go and you can look all over the world. There are so many weird things to see. I really enjoyed compiling this list. It was a lot to find all these entries. So if you watched to the end, thank you very much for watching. Thank you guys for 560,000 subscribers on YouTube. My weird animals video that I just made the other day is doing super well. So thank you guys for all watching that. But if you guys know any weird things on Google Earth that you have seen, please comment them and maybe the coordinates if you can. And yeah, thanks for watching. Watch out for the Squiggle Man. Watch out for the pandas going to school and the child skinwalker. But I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.